The idea that they would just intentionally kill people like that was unfathomable.
Chilling new insights into the Bucha Massacre.
Sasha was screaming because she had been shot in the hand.
Using unseen surveillance footage and survivor testimony, RFERL's Ukrainian Service reconstructs a thorough picture of the 3 deadliest days on Yablunska Street and the deliberate killing of unarmed civilians by Russian soldiers.
Blood. There was a lot of blood. He was lying with his head in that puddle.
On March 3, 2022, Russian forces launched a second assault on the Ukrainian city of Bucha, days after their first attempt was defeated. They captured Yablunska Street, a route to help stage a planned offensive toward Irpin and the capital Kyiv. Yablunska would become known as the Street of Death.
They are dragging them out of the house.
Go out, take the street.
One of the victims was 69-year-old Valery Kizilov, who had taken shelter in a cellar with his wife, Ludmila.
There were lots of shots. All day, all the time, there was a lot of gunfire.
When Kizilov thought the fighting had subsided, he left the cellar to see if his house had been damaged. This drone footage shows him lying dead from gunshot wounds in his own yard. Nearby stands a group of Russian soldiers, later identified as members of the 234th Pskov Regiment. One was pointing a gun toward the cellar, where Kizilov's wife was still hiding. By evening, when her husband hadn't returned, she left to look for him.
I didn't know if they were in the house, so I kept down and crawled until I saw his body. I didn't know what had happened. I fell onto his chest and opened his arms. I remember apologizing for not stopping him, not saving him, for having him die such a terrible death.
Ludmila and Valery had been married for 47 years. Other civilians tried to escape the occupying forces, like Ivana Hrabovlyak and her family. Ivana was with her father, his partner Yulia, and Yulia's daughter Sasha when gunfire hit their car on Yablunska Street.
At that moment, the car crashed. I remember a lot of smoke and the engine roaring. My dad was already unconscious and his foot was still on the accelerator.
Surveillance footage shows Ivana Hrabovlyak running from the burning car. Her wounded stepsister runs after her.
I hear Sasha screaming. I stop and wait for her. I realize she's running after me. It was clear something was wrong with her arm. She was unable to hold it up properly.
They fled to a basement where they waited out the heaviest fighting, unable to take Sasha to a hospital. Sasha's arm could not be saved. Later that year, foreign specialists helped fit her with a prosthesis. Ivana's father, Mikhailo, died.
Until the very end, I couldn't believe he was dead. It just didn't seem possible. My father had served in Afghanistan and experienced war firsthand. To me, he was like a superhero, someone who simply couldn't die.
The month-long Russian occupation of Bucha and nearby villages left more than 500 civilians dead, including 12 children. At least 62 of them were killed in a short period when the 234th Pskov Regiment was in control of Yablunska Street. Documents and a computer containing the regiment's entire personnel list were left behind at the unit's temporary headquarters in Bucha. Using those records and social media posts, RFERL's Ukrainian Service identified and contacted some of those involved in the killings of civilians, like 25-year-old Sergeant Vladimir Borzunov.
Suspicion falls on you, Vladimir Vladimirovich.
Let it fall. Do I care?
Don't you care that you killed a man? Don't you care?
I don't care.
Other soldiers implicated in civilian deaths were also identified. Lieutenant Artyom Tarayev led the reconnaissance unit suspected of killing Valery Kizilov outside his home. Call signs used during the deadliest days helped RFERL identify others higher up the chain of command. Those call signs appear to place high-ranking commanders at the scene when Russian forces executed members of a local civil defense group. RFERL contacted several of those officers, including Lieutenant Colonel Chernenko, known as Flakon.
Алло, полковник
Colonel Chernenko.
Who is this?
We have video of you on Yablunska Street in Bucha in the Kyiv region at the time when members of the local self-defense group were being killed.
By the end of March 2022, Russian forces had retreated from Bucha, and images began to emerge revealing the shocking scale of civilian deaths. Russian President Vladimir Putin flatly denied his forces' involvement and suggested evidence of the massacre was staged.
We faced a provocation in the town of Bucha with which the Russian army has no connection.
But the accounts of survivors and the verified images from Yablunska Street tell a very different story. Ukrainian courts have charged Russian officers in absentia, while Kyiv has asked the International Criminal Court to investigate the torture and killings of civilians in Bucha.